Hello everybody and welcome to, holy crap, this is Dusty. Man, it's been a while since I did a hardware review. That's probably why. So, welcome to the Fridge Hardware Reviews, and today we have a very special review for one of my favorite brands, Sega! This is the Sega Game Gear. It was the third released handheld console in the world. The Game Boy was not yet released, and this was to combat it. It was released in 1991, and it was Sega's first foray into, well, first and out of two, really, besides the Nomad, which was a portable Genesis. This is a portable Master System, which came out before the Genesis. And the Game Boy, the original brick, which I wish I had I wish I had one, but the guy who gave me this, Mark, has one, so I might ask to borrow his just to do a review of it. I only had a monochrome screen, and Sega said, well, we have facts on them. Began this in 1989, and you see how it has the red, blue, and green right there? Color. It's hard to see on the screen. I'll turn out the light later in this. But the Game Gear had all the specs of the Master System, which in its own rights kind of would surpass the NES if it weren't so well played. Right here is where some kind of serial number is supposed to be. I'm not sure. This thing is missing a lot of stuff. I don't have battery covers. It's got Sonic 2 in it. Says right there, Sega Portable Video Game System. Power button, start button, 1, 2. So these are your A and B. Power button right here, and you have an AV in for because it eats batteries like a mofo. Headphone and audio. What happens with a lot of these Game Gears is because in the 90s they decided that there's a bad batch of capacitors in them, and they're like, oh, let's make really cheap square capacitors. And squares don't work for capacitors, apparently. I mean, I'm not sure. I guess it was just a really bad batch. But what you have to do is you take the Game Gear apart, which is 1, 2, 3, 6 screws, and a security screw up here, which is really annoying. To get out. You go in there, go to Radio Shack, buy a capacitor, rip the old one out with a pair of needle nose, solder it in, you're good to go. Sound on this thing is ridiculous because it's a portable 8-bit console, so it has all the power of. If you're going to take out security screws, only use this kind of pen. It's the kind from, I believe it's Bic. Yep, it's a Bic pen with the flat sides on it. It's clear. Don't try to use any of the other fancy pens such as this or the white ones with the blue caps that are circles. Don't try them. They won't work. And I'll give you some gameplay in a minute here. Oh, and Sega did some crazy things. I hope to borrow this from my friend Mark too and do a review of that. Is they had a TV attachment which doesn't work here in the US anymore, but you could watch TV on it. UHF and VHF through the air. So you had the basic 13 channels and all the ones through the air. This is a really hard attempt to get this. Not sure how well I can. Since it's backlit with a mercury light, it's hard to get the system to go. This is Sonic 2, which is a strange game, so I guess I'll do a review of it right now. It's really nicely played, but they put the hardest boss at the very beginning, pretty much. So you can't beat the game. It's really hard to play this through a viewfinder, by the way. That's why I'm getting hit all the time. And the screen has this thing here, but it's got a contrast, so you can change it. So let's talk some stats about the Game Gear here. It had 11 million of them sold, so 11 million times 6 batteries, that's 66 million batteries just for the first ones. And that blinking light that was occurring in my game video there, that means my batteries are going dead. The reason they drain so much batteries is because they use a mercury vapor lamp, which most people, we don't use anymore in flat screen LCDs because we have LED technology now. That was not new in the 90s. This also had a Z-Log Z80 in it, which actually is notorious because it's what Sega also used in their Genesis. Apparently that processor was used in everything. But just for an example, here is 10 years worth of progress right here. See, Nintendo said, okay, we'll steal their design, I guess, I don't know. Game Boy Advance only uses 2 batteries, but it's not even backlit right here. And 1 speaker, it's not as loud as this, and it only has 3 more buttons. So, who won? But this has 16-bit capability, though. And if you want to go 15 years, here's 15 years in the future, and it's still the same idea. This is just rechargeable, and it just so happens that since it's a different style screen, you don't have all these compatibility things. And this is finally backlit. So, there's your years of progress on the Sega Game Gear.